Hello, this is Inside the Press Box with Sunil Sunder Raj for the Everyday Fan Sports. I'm happy to be speaking with Tyler Smarslok, the infield coach for the St. Paul Saints, the AAA East affiliate of the Minnesota Twins, and proud King University graduate. Tyler, thank you so much again for taking some time out to speak with me. This morning. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks, Sunil. I appreciate it. And it's exciting to have a conversation about some baseball and maybe some NJAC and all that included.
Yeah, no, definitely. Tyler, first I had to ask you, congratulations again, I said being the infield coach there for the St. Paul Saints. Just wanted to ask you how things are going, said so far this season, Tyler.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, things are going really well. We've had a lot of guys so far, just all the way up from the alternate site. Before we got started as the Saints, we're officially the Twins alternate site. Ever since that moment when we got up to St. Paul and we started the season up till now, everything's gone really well. We got a really good staff, a really good group of guys that work really hard. That's all we can ask for as coaches too. So the organization's really provided us with everything we need. So really, there's no complaints, and we're doing a little bit of winning on the field now. The guys are getting really rolling, and we're definitely in midseason form at this point. So it's exciting to be a Saint and to be a part of the Saints right now too.
That's terrific. Had to ask you, said the position you have infield, just working, so with these guys this year, this group, particular group, how things are panning out so far, on that aspect as well, Tyler.
Yeah, so for me as an infield coach, I'm also our first base coach. I kind of handle some of our base running stuff as well, and really our staff does a really good job of just collaborating on all fronts, whether it be hitting, pitching, and I think that's one of the strengths of our staff is that we really do work as a unit. And we have a lot of people on our staff that have a lot of things to bring to the table as baseball wise. So for our group, on the infield side, the guys have been doing a really good job. We have a really good group of guys that. Some of them have some big league time in JT Riddle, and we have Williams Astudillo right now as well. We have some other guys that have really made a name for themselves around the league of how they conduct themselves defensively and how that's been a strong part of their game. So for me, it's nice because you get to work with some of the premier talent in the game. And honestly, like I've learned a lot from these guys as maybe they've learned from me as well. But it's a really good group of guys, and really that extends out beyond the infield as well.
Yeah.
The guys are really attuned to what's going on in the game. They're really smart players, headsy players, and that stuff makes it really easy when you're going into the coaching side of things.
Can you just talk about the level of competition here, on the AAA level, and then, so going to other ballparks now? I mean, it's so great, especially after, last year with this COVID-19 pandemic, no games last year, no season, but being able to, I said now here, have a full season here. I mean, just how great that is, Tyler.
Yeah, so I mean, we have a lost year in 2020 where a lot of guys didn't get to have a ton of competition, and by watching the level of competition now, watching these guys out on the field, you wouldn't think they missed a beat. Really, guys, it worked hard to get themselves ready for spring training. When we got to the alternate side, there was actually a really good opportunity for some of these guys to make some adjustments in how they approach their at bats at the plate, and maybe some pitch adjustments that they maybe felt like they needed to make a jump up to the big league level. So that stuff's really cool to see, but the level of competition is really, it's, you'd kind of see it on paper, right? We're a notch below the big leagues. A lot of these guys could play at the big leagues and play at a high level, and a lot of them have done that. So you're really watching big league talent out on the field every day in AAA. And these guys are just keeping themselves ready for their opportunity for when their name gets called. And we've been fortunate enough with the Saints and the Twins organization to have a lot of guys called up since we started the season. And that part's been really, really rewarding for us as a staff. It's nice for the players to see that too, because even if the guys that haven't had their name called, you start to see other guys in the clubhouse start to get their name called, get their opportunities. And you never know when your opportunity is next. You never know when your name's going to be called next. So, that part of it is really, 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 really exciting. For me as a college guy, I didn't play pro ball, so I didn't necessarily get to see this level of talent in my playing days, but it really is remarkable to see what these guys can do on the field. And the stuff that you guys see maybe on TV or on the highlights and stuff, we get to see all the time in our pregame. And And the way that we go about our practices and stuff like that too. It's pretty remarkable the things you see on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, excellent point you made. That was a great lead in as far as the preparation, for game day. I wanted to ask you about that, Tyler. Just with the staff, with the players, how that transpires. It's as you said, getting back to normal now. A grueling season, said here, but just how that I said on a daily basis, how that works out.
Yeah, so I mean, as the life of a baseball player, it can be a little bit of a grind, right? You're playing games every single day, and slightly different to what you do in college and in high school, where some of these guys have come from, and before they got into pro ball, you got a lot of practices. In AAA and in pro ball setting, when you're in the thick of the season, you're playing 6 to 7 games a week, so you don't really have as much time for the practice setting. But the cool part is that that's where we can start to get creative in the way we use our pregame stuff. The pitchers do a really good job and keeping themselves prepared and on schedule, and really just continuing to push the needle forward. They're trying to develop maybe a little bit more sharpness in their slider, maybe a little more carry on the fastball, maybe some velocity. So as much as they're preparing for game day, they're also preparing for when their name gets called for the big leagues as well. So you got guys on the hitting side of things making little adjustments, little tweaks in their swing or tweaks to their approach, or just becoming a little bit more attuned to some of the ways that they're being pitched to, and just continuing to work on maybe some weaknesses that they have. If a guy struggles on carry fastballs on the top of the zone, spend time in BP and in early work to make sure those guys are getting the time to get better at those things and become more well-rounded, so that they don't have those glaring holes that maybe they have had. On the infield side of things, it's a lot of times in the past it's become just get ready for the game, just get loose. We kind of try to push the needle that way too, and just range is a big thing for us. We want to be able to cover a ton of ground, so that's the only way to really work on range is you got to range. You got to get moving. You got to get moving at high speeds, and we've had our guys do that. We try to push them to think more about the quality there rather than the quantity of just getting ready with the arm and ready with the feet. We want them to really push their bodies to work in high gear, and that's something that they do a really good job of. So that, kind of to my point earlier, is if you come out and watch us take ground balls, and during, whether it be during BP, or and sometimes we'll have like a 15-minute block before BP, where we'll just do like a team segment. You'll see these guys flying around making some pretty ridiculous plays, and that's kind of the point. We want to push them to find where the boundary is, how fast is too fast, and then when game time comes around, really they've been training at above game speed. Now the game starts to slow down even more. So that's kind of the point of that, and that carries for everything we've done. The hitting side, the pitching side. I mean, we'll have the velo machine out there for BP, so we'll really get some whether it be sharp breaking balls or a carry fastball, just to get these guys more prepared to consistently see velocity. It's only going to help them at the end of the day. So we've seen good rewards from that.
I'm sure, with the technology now, especially Tyler, over the years has really, enhanced, like as far as like, you guys, I mean, watching film, you can, really break it down, said as far as, again, all over, hitting, in the infield, the outfield, pitching. Can you talk about that as well?
Yeah, so I mean, we're fortunate enough to be up in the game today, where we have all this information, all this technology, and a lot of people may think that it kind of clouds you. It could cloud the brain. It could be a little bit too much from time. The way I think of it is, if you were taking a test and you had the answers to it, wouldn't you want the answers, right? Like that's kind of some of the stuff that we're trying to get involved with our guys, is just to get them to understand that they can take the information they want. There's good stuff out there, and we don't have to guess quite as much as maybe we used to 10, 20 years ago. So I think today's player is really, really hungry for that information, and they're hungry for the right information too. They're not necessarily looking for everything and just to see like what they can find in everything. It's, hey, I feel like I struggle in this part of the zone. Am I being pitched here? What kind of pitch? Really, they're seeing the stuff with their eyes, and then it's just being confirmed on paper with some of the technology that we have. So we're fortunate enough in that regard, so that we can kind of close. It doesn't have to be this long drawn out process to get better at something anymore. We can kind of find, okay, this is how we can approach this. This is what we can get better at. Let's attack it. And that's where them as players and us as coaches can kind of help just attack those areas, and makes it a little quicker for them too. So
I skipped over the word analytics. That's what I was gonna
Yeah,
get.
yeah. Yep, we are in an analytically driven world right now.
Exactly, that's right. And I want to ask you, playing at home as well, CHS field, there. Can you talk about, I mean, how special it is, to be able to, be in that stadium, as I said, with the players, with the staff, and just, again, with the fans back, in the stands. It just, must be just an electric environment, said this year.
Yeah, it really is. Coming into it, I kind of always heard about the St. Paul Saints and some of the stuff that goes on in the stands
Yeah.
and the promotions and the fan base and how loud it can get and how intense it can get. And I never knew it because I'd never really been around it, but I actually had some some friends of mine, former players that had played in indie ball while they were a part of independent baseball, and said, "Man, that's my favorite place to play. That's a really cool place to play." Um, and now we're getting to see it on the pro ball side of things too. And as different as it may be, it's exciting. People come to the games and they're excited to be watching Saints games. And a lot of times, now you're getting even more Twins fans out there, and you're getting people that want to come see the names that we have. We have a really good roster, and then every now and then we get some rehabbers from the big leagues that come in. So we had Byron Buxton come in, we've had Max Kepler come in, Luis Arias, and so it's exciting for the fans to be able to see some of that stuff, as well as the guys that have been with the Saints from the beginning, right? Like we have a lot of guys that have really done some cool things on the field. We've had walk-off home runs. We've had a lot of cool things happen on the field, and that part's really, really exciting. So it's nice to have the fans back. They can get loud, and especially when we're playing well, it can get really loud. So it's you can't really ask for much more when you're in minor league baseball to have like a big league feel in the stadium.
Yeah.
This is about as close as you can get to that. So that's something that's exciting for our guys, and it's exciting for us as a staff too, because it really gets you involved. It keeps you involved, and even in some lulls in the game, we all know that baseball can be a long game, and the Saints have done a good job of keeping things fresh for the fans, and really it energizes the whole stadium.
That's great. I had to ask you just as far as the process leading, to you landing, here with the St. Paul Saints, how that worked. I think I believe your last two stints were with Marist College and Seton Hall University back in 2019. So just wanted to ask you just how that worked out, because as you said, it's just been a terrific fit here, with the St. Paul Saints, Tyler.
Yeah. So I mean, to be quite honest with you, I wouldn't have necessarily expected a professional coaching job in coming off of any of that. But fortunately, I was blessed to be around the right people and given an opportunity to interview, and they decided that they wanted to hire me. And I'm obviously thankful for everything that the Twins have done for me personally, professionally. I'm proud to be a Twin. So leading up to all that stuff, I was coaching in college for 6 years, and kind of bounced around a little bit. I had coached at Kane after I was done playing, so I was in New Jersey coaching at Kane the 2 years after. Was in California for a year, was in Ohio for a year, getting my master's and doing a graduate assistant job there, and then came back full circle, was at Seton Hall, and Marist was a short stint, but enjoyed my time there as well. And each of those stops really just helped prepare me to be the coach that I want to be. When you're in the college setting, like you really get a lot of hands-on time. You get time to kind of really try stuff. Honestly, like if you're coaching in Division III, you got good talent, you got good players, but you really got to like get creative in the way that you train, because there is limited time with the Division III rules. So you got to really find ways to get the most out of these guys in the limited time that you have. And then you get into Division I, and maybe you have a little bit more time, but there's still rules. There's still like time limits and things like that. So you want to do your best for these players, and you want to help them reach their goals. And then Division I level becomes more, you want to help these guys get the pro ball. That's every kid's dream. And I just wanted to be somebody that they could lean on, whether it be for infield, whether it be for hitting, whether it be for just life in general. But that my college time really helped prepare me for the things that were coming in pro ball. So I can't even explain to you exactly how much it's helped me, but it really has shaped me into who I am. Now I'm learning the pro ball side of things too, which is a completely different animal. And it's been fun to be kind of tie the two worlds together and really challenge myself as a coach to again help these guys get better. And now, now we're trying to help the best in the world even get just a little bit better.
Yeah.
So
No, it's tremendous. It's working your way up the ladder, and said again. You said just gaining that knowledge, that experience, from every stop. Yeah, I wanted to go back to King University because I saw your bachelor arts degree in exercise science, which I'm sure helps out. Even to this day, Tyler. But quite a bit, just immense success that you were able to achieve. Not only as a player, but then as a coach as well. I wanted to ask you, just your time there and just incredible stats you put up. And then I think more impressive, Tyler, was your durability, as well on the field at Kane University. If you just want to dive into that and just talk. I mean, just again, outstanding, times there at Kane University.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that was, the 4 years that I played there was the 4 best years of my life. It was definitely life changing for me in a lot of ways. I know I grew up as a person. I grew up as a man. I kind of went in there as a little bit of a boy and came out a completely different person. And that's credit to our coaching staff and Neil Ivero and all the assistants that he had with him. I still talk to Neil pretty often today. We're still pretty close, and we can get into conversations talking about baseball for hours on end. And sometimes we got to cut it short because it's getting too late at the night in the night. But Neil was awesome for me, and Neil was tough to play for a lot of people, and for myself included. But that was kind of the point, is that he was going to challenge you. He was going to get the most out of you. He wanted you to get the most out of yourself, and that's all you can ask for as a player. And for me, going in, I wasn't this high regarded prospect. I wasn't heavily recruited. I just wanted an opportunity, and he gave me those opportunities, and that's something that I'm forever grateful for. And I was very lucky to be a part of 3 College World Series teams, and that's all you can ask for. I don't know how many people can really say they were a part of 3 teams that reached the College World Series. So it was a great experience, and it definitely helped prepare me for what was to come after my playing days as well.
As we talked before we came on the air that, of course, attending graduate from Ramapo College in New Jersey. So, and Jack, said here in the house, but how special was that to win, and Jack, titles as well? I mean, I said, I know NCAA, regional tournaments as well, College World Series. I mean, can you tell me just a different, vibe, different, electricity, when you, reach tournament time, but then to hoist a championship trophy up, I mean, that it doesn't get any better than that. That's just, the icing on the cake and the pinnacle, Tyler.
Yeah. I mean, in a lot of ways too, like going through those years, and our goal was to win the NJAC title every year. That was something that we wanted, and a lot of times that was the hardest one to win. The NJAC title was the hardest of all the championships that we did win while I was there, and that they've had before. Those NJAC tournaments are brutal, and I mean, I'm sure a lot of the people listening to this, and yourself included, you're from New Jersey, and you're pretty familiar with New Jersey people. We're insanely competitive. People from the Northeast are insanely competitive. So you put a bunch of people in a tournament that are from New Jersey. Really, the schools that are in the NJAC kind of only recruit inside New Jersey. You get a couple people here and there, but a lot of times you're playing against your former teammates in high school or former rivals in high school, and you're doing it at the college level in those tournaments. It was insanely competitive, and Ramapo especially was one of them. Rowan was another one of them. But from top to bottom, there was never a week off. Every team we were playing, it seemed like we could have, they could have beat us, or we could have beat them. It could have gone either way. So, and I think that was part of the reason. And also, it helped us prepare for when we got into tournament time in the regionals and in the World Series as well. And those were some fun days. Winning those titles were a lot of fun. Getting to spend it with your best friends in college, because that's what it is. You're a family, and I'm super thankful to have been a part of a couple of those.
Yeah, I know you talked about the team master, but I just had to throw out a couple of these numbers. I was looking at, I think your junior year, that just committed, I think, 3 errors in 249 chances, and became the 6th member of the program to win a Rawlings National Gold Glove at second base. Can you just talk about, I mean, personally, how much that meant to you, Tyler?
Yeah. It was a really cool experience. Really going through the year, I kind of had a little bit of a change in mentality from years past. And when I committed to Kane, I remember walking out to the baseball field with my father, and we see all the All-Americans and the Gold Glovers and stuff. And my dad looks at me, he's like, "Man, how cool would that be?
Yeah.
If you get one of those?" I was like, "Yeah, it would be great. Like, we want to win a College World Series. That's really the plan. But like, yeah, that would be awesome." And so for me, like, I always knew defense was my tool. That was the thing that I was going to be able to bring to the table, at least initially. And my freshman year, my sophomore year, I think I became a little bit consumed with just being too perfect, just having to make every play. And to be quite honest with you, I was thinking about winning a Gold Glove. I was like, man, I know that if by me doing this is going to help the team win, but it would be a cool little thing to chase. And I my freshman sophomore year, I didn't necessarily perform the way I wanted to defensively, and I kind of switched my mentality where it's like, you know what, like I'm not going to be thinking about this anymore. I don't want to think about it anymore. I'm just going to go out there. I'm going to make plays. I'm going to do what I do, and I'm going to basically play with my hair on fire. That's no longer here, but that was the kind of the mentality switch that I took, and it worked out. Made a lot of plays. We had a lot of good. We had other guys around the infield that really could make a ton of plays too. We had a really, really good infield defense and defense in general. And we had a lot of guys, we had a lot of pitchers that induced a lot of ground balls. So that kind of helped out as well. But yeah, that was my thing, was defense. That was my tool. And that's, again, credit to the coaching staff, and Jamie Ivera was, Neil's brother, and he was there for my freshman, sophomore years, and really taught me a lot in those years. And then getting Vinny Esposito after that, as our infield coach. I just got to soak up a lot of knowledge from guys that really had been around some really good infielders and have been good infielders themselves. So, that's all you can ask for as a coach, is just the resources and being able to ask questions, and then putting you in the right situations to succeed.
I had to ask you about this. Another stat that I don't know if it comes to mind is he hit 53 times, including a record 4 times, I think, in NJAC tournament game. And I don't know if you recall that, a moment, but what was that? I mean, when you hear about that, and, just what comes to your mind, Tyler?
So it's funny because I joke now, and I say, I was like, man, like the biggest part of my offense was getting hit by pitches.
Yeah.
That was one of the biggest parts of my offense. It's funny, but it was, I think it was just a byproduct of the style of baseball that I played. I was up on the dish a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say I wasn't up on the plate. I wasn't necessarily trying to get hit by pitches, but my approach was, I didn't really handle pitches on the outer part of the plate very well. So I'm like, well, you know what? Like, that's where they're going to pitch me. So I'm just going to get up on the plate.
Yeah.
So then, a pitcher sees that. They see a small guy up on the dish, and they're going to try to put one in on your hip and see if they can back you up. And a lot of times those started to ride in, and I wasn't the type of guy to get out of the way either. So it's kind of a perfect marriage that way with my offensive approach, and then just kind of like a bulldog mentality of just, I'm going to find my way to first base. And the way our offense worked, that was what we needed. We just needed guys to get on base, and however that was going to happen was going to happen. We had guys that could really swing it, and we had other guys like myself that didn't swing it particularly great and weren't going to hit balls in the gap all over the place or get balls over the fence. That wasn't my offense. My offense was get to first base, try to steal second. If I wasn't going to steal second, we were going to sack bunt. We were going to do some different things, hit and run. So that was of value. And if I had to take a couple bruises on the shoulder or the butt, then so be it.
That's great. Just have a couple more. Can't thank you enough for the time, Tyler. I mean, to look at, all your accolades, especially, freshman year, even going to your sophomore and junior, we're just, I mean, this, that's terrific. I mean, what did that mean to you again, just to be able to, some of the, first team, said not only in NJAC, but the NCAA and then NJCBA as well, National New Jersey College Collegiate Baseball Association. What did that mean to you? It said, being able to earn those honors, throughout the years, there at King University, and Tyler.
Well, I'll say this: it's usually a little easier to make those teams when you play for really good teams, and that's what we had. That's what we had. We had a lot of good players and a good team. We won a ton of games.
Yeah. So
it's a little easier to get on those teams when you're playing for them. But yeah, I mean, it meant a good deal. It meant that the work that I was putting in was coming to fruition a little bit as an individual. But really, the motivation was never that, and it's still, I still don't really think of it that way. It's like I just know that my mentality every day was to go out there and and become a little bit better so that our team became better. If I became better, our team was better. And if I could bring a couple other people along the way, then I bring a couple people along the way and make them do something maybe they didn't want to do. But that was always the mentality. Just try to get a little bit better every single day. Just find something that you can kind of close the gap on. And it's nice to know that some of that hard work paid off, as an individual. But our teams were pretty good, and we had a lot of guys doing the same thing. So that's what creates championship teams.
Is there like one year, like, that really stands out? And then, of course, when it comes to, then Jack and also then see that really, like, in your memory bank, you'll carry for the rest of your life. I just had to ask you. I know it's tough maybe to sum that up, but is there something that really, like, said, that means so much to you, Tyler?
Yeah, I think just looking back, my freshman year was probably the most impactful year. I go in that year, and I knew I wasn't a highly regarded prospect for the team or really in the state at all. So I was more or less just going to work my tail off and try to get an opportunity to get in the lineup and get some ABs and get some exposure. And I went in that year with a really it was an older team. We had a lot of seniors, we had some juniors, and a lot of guys that have had a lot of success. So I didn't know exactly how that was going to fit. So it was, I took it as an opportunity to be like, let me just push the needle here and let me see if I can push these guys. And you go through fall season, and you go through early spring and preseason, and you start to see like some of the work starting to pay off, and that you really can do it. It's just you just got to wait for your opportunity. And I had so many good guys to learn from. We had guys like Nick Nolan, we had Ken Gregory, we had Chris Carano, we had a ton of guys. We had a ton of pitchers that could really throw the ball. So you learn a lot about the game doing that stuff. And to my point, the most impactful thing really was like, I did end up getting that opportunity. I was able to solidify a starting job at shortstop in mid-season, and was able to go through the conference and all that stuff. For me, that year as a whole, I mean, we ended up winning the NJ. We ended up getting to the College World Series. We won the regional. That was my first taste of college baseball, and we were doing it with guys that have been there for a long time and have had a lot of success. And it just was one of those moments that was so surreal. And you get to the College World Series, and like, man, I'm really playing shortstop in the College World Series right now. Like I was in high school a year ago, right? So those moments, those were really special moments on the field. I mean, the other piece of that is that we just, because we had an older group, usually when you have you have an old group, and we had a ton of freshmen too. When you have that separation in age, you can sometimes find it hard to get chemistry out of those teams. We didn't have that. Like we had older guys that really took to the young guys, and that's really all you can ask for at that point too. We had a really good team of good guys that still keep in touch to this day, and that was a really impactful year for me. That's the one I'll cherish the most, I think.
Great. It was nice seeing that photo on Instagram. I think Kean University had posted of you and Kevin, I believe, forget of the Columbus Clippers. Talk about how I just had to ask you. I didn't want to forget about that, Tyler. How cool was that? Take the picture with Kevin there.
Yeah, it's really cool. They're actually in town right now too. So the Columbus Clippers are here in St. Paul. So we'll see him at some point this week. We're already 2 games into the series, but I'm sure we'll see him again. But Kevin was one of my favorite teammates that I played with too, and just an ultra competitor. He had stuff to really do it. I mean, he was a true ace, and he was fun to play behind. If you're an infielder, he was very fun to play behind because the game moved fast, and he just kept things really energetic, and he was mowing guys down. So it's a lot of fun being on defense for stuff like that. But Kevin's an awesome dude, and it's no surprise he's been able to play in pro ball for as long as he had. I'm 29. I think he's 30 now. So he's, I'm in 7 years of coaching. He's in a hell of a lot more years of playing pro ball. So that's says a lot about him and his talent. But he's one of the best dudes I know, and I'm thankful to have known him and gotten to talk baseball with him. And I'm excited I've always been excited to just see how his career would unfold, and he's doing a really good job. And and I'm really proud of him.
It wasn't easy, when you're there at Kean University to be a student athlete, Tyler, balancing that role. I've asked a number of people over the years, it's quite a challenge, but you were able to accomplish that. Can you just talk about, I mean, the support from administration, athletics, just that component as well?
Yeah, I mean, in for Kane, like it was always exciting when baseball season rolled around for other people. It was always exciting for us as players because we got to play. That was the time we got to actually do it.
Yeah.
But even around campus, people were coming to the games. We always had people showing up, and then as we started to get into tournament time, we'd have more people show up. We'd host the NJAC tournament, and then you got a whole a whole bunch of people out there. So it was a really cool environment to just play at Kane. In general, you have the beautiful turf field, like you have everything you could want. Um, but everybody was so supportive. I mean, you'd be walking around the halls and stuff, administration see you, be like, "Hey, good luck today. Good luck in the game. Nice job yesterday. Nice job last night, and keep doing it." Like things like that. It's
Yeah.
just nice that I think in Division III athletics, sometimes you think that it gets lost, and you think that your sport gets lost and it's kind of swept under the rug. And maybe that's the case some other places, but not Kane. And that was important to us too, because we knew it was important. We knew it was important to other people, and that only motivates you as a player and as a team too. You want to represent your school, you want to represent your coaching staff, you want to represent your families, and that stuff. Everybody making it important played a big role in our success.
Yeah, well said. Uh, don't want to forget attending and graduated from Jackson Liberty High School. I had to ask you about your time there, and of course, sports. What sports you played? I'm presuming said baseball, but if there were any other sports, but just if you want to talk about your I said time there.
Yeah, yeah, another great 4 years, right? Like I think that's the thing that I've been really fortunate with is that I've the places that I've been, the schools that I played for, I'm proud to be an alum of both of those places, whether it be Kane
Yeah,
and Jackson Liberty.
yeah,
Jim Rankin's still the head coach there. He was the head coach there when I was there, and he was a young guy. He's probably the same age as I am now, as his first time as a head coach over there. Um, but yeah, he's done an incredible job building that program from the bottom. I was a part of the first years at Jackson Liberty, so that was a pretty special thing to be a part of. A brand new school in a town that was known for baseball. So now you're starting to separate the kids, and you got two teams, and you're wondering what's going to happen.
yeah,
We had two really good teams. Jackson Memorial was really good, and we were pretty good ourselves too. And they've continued to get better and better and better, even since I've left and our years have ended. So it's a credit to him. He's done an incredible job. I still talk to him pretty often as well. So I'm lucky to have him as a mentor to me, and as well as Neil from Kane. So yeah, the Jackson Liberty days were unique because my first year in that school, we only had freshmen and sophomores in the school. So we every year we just ended up adding another class. So the following year, my sophomore year, we only had up to juniors, and then first time we had seniors in the school was my junior year. So we were kind of just figuring it out as a baseball program. Just, our first year, we didn't have a varsity. Our first year, we only had JV and freshmen. And then the following year, we were competing at the varsity level we didn't have any seniors. We just had juniors, which was really cool for us. It was a good experience. We had a ton of young guys playing. And then our senior year, that senior year that we had seniors,
yeah,
that's where we really started to push. And then the following year after that, we ended up winning a B South title. So it was a really cool moment to see like the culmination of a school literally or a program built from scratch
yeah,
to winning a championship.
yeah.
That stuff is you can't make that stuff up, and I wouldn't do it any other way. I wouldn't want to be a part of any other school.
Something that just popped into my head, now with the MLB draft just a couple of days ago, just to see we talked about the level of talent, said in Jersey, just to see now, like, guys getting drafted, said by Major League Baseball teams. Can you talk, I mean, you talked about, of course, in the AAA, level, guys, being moved up, it said to the big league level, but here, said, the game has changed so much again over the years. It's just wonderful to see, Tyler.
It really is, and especially being from the Northeast and being proud to be from the
Yeah,
Northeast, you're starting to see a lot of players from the Northeast get their opportunities a little bit more, and more baseball is being played than ever before, especially at the amateur levels. And you start getting in, high school with the travel ball stuff, and
yeah,
there's a lot of baseball being played, and a lot of people are traveling down to those warm weather states just to make sure that they're getting those games in. So the days of the Northeast kid not getting a ton of time to spend on baseball, they're kind of over.
yeah,
Even in the winter, if guys are staying up, up in the Northeast, they're getting to these big indoor facilities where they can still do all the things that they can do outside and take live ABs and pitch and do all these different things. There's more opportunities for Northeast kids to do what they do and show that they're just as talented as everybody else. And you're starting to see that in the draft now too. And for us in particular, we just took Chase Petty out of New Jersey in the first round. So, New Jersey kid from South Jersey, like hard throwing kid. And I know the organization's excited to have him. I don't know him personally, but I've heard good things about him. And then we actually, surprisingly enough, we just took one of my former players at Seton Hall, and David Festa, who was a Seton Hall prep kid, and ended up building himself up into a really good player as well. So you're starting to see a lot of that, and it's exciting to see guys from the Northeast get represented so well and get their opportunities, because a lot of times when they get into pro ball and they get those opportunities, they don't let them squander. And that's not a knock on anybody else, but there's just something about a Northeast kid that has a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. And that's something that I'm proud to be a part of and affiliated with, but I'm excited to also get a couple of those guys with the Twins now too.
Great. Hey, I wanted to ask you, just for you as a player now, of course, being a coach, what makes the game of baseball so special? I know it's a tough one, but just like, maybe just a few words, just, for you.
Yeah, it's a tough question, but it's actually a pretty easy one for me. To me, baseball is the most accurate representation of life in a game form. It's just one of those things that you just learn so much about yourself in the game, because you deal with so much failure, right? You deal with a ton of stuff not going your way, and things that are outside of your control seem to go wrong more often than in other sports sometimes. And baseball for me is just, that's what it is. Like, you got to learn to deal with the failure. The reason that I loved baseball so much growing up is because it was the hardest thing for me to do. I was actually a better soccer player when I was younger. I played football. I was not a basketball player. If you look at me, I'm 5'7", not much of a basketball player, but baseball was incredibly tough for me. And that's why I was so drawn to it from an early age. So I think it's one of those things too, where, like, when I talk about it being so similar to life gets hard a lot. And this is something that I've really tried to connect with players as I've been coaching. And when I give talks is, you really learn a lot about yourself when you're a baseball player. And then when it gets taken away as a player, those lessons that you learn inside the game are really easily transferred over to the things you're going to do next. For me, it's coaching, but really for, building a family and relationships and things like that, baseball gives you all of those lessons that you need inside of it. The game itself is the game itself. And it's, it's fun. I don't mind it being a long game. I don't mind it being a slower paced game. I like the chess match nature of it. Yeah. But the other stuff, like, that was the stuff for me that I really fell in love with baseball about, is that I knew I was learning a ton about myself, and it was challenging me to points where you almost want to give up, and you just won't do it, because you love the game so much and you don't want to give up on yourself. So it's definitely, the game itself has helped me become who I am today, and it continues to make me chase getting better every day.
Great. Hey, final two, you talked about family. Can you talk about the support you received from them, said during your baseball journey?
Say that one more time.
Support from your family, over the years.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really thankful to have a family that's backed me from the beginning. My mom, my dad, my stepdad. I got 4 brothers. All of which played some baseball as well, not at the college level, but they all played. So we were a sports family. We were a family that just prided ourselves on competing, and we were really close in age too. I mean, the oldest one is 30, and the youngest one is 24 now. So we got 5 boys, and in that span of years is a lot of blood that starts to get shed and pick up basketball games and stuff like that. But I just super supportive family for myself. They were always out. My dad was a super busy, single dad at the time I was in college, and he made his way around quite a bit to make sure he was at those games, and was traveling on the weekends. And I could go into the depths of it, of how much he had to sacrifice just to be able to get to those games. And then my mom and my stepdad just being available whenever they could too. And that's what you want. You want, as a kid, you want your parents to show up. You want your parents to be there. I'm lucky to have that. And they sure as hell pushed me too. They pushed me, and they always wanted me to become as good as I could become in anything I wanted to do. And baseball was that thing.
Great. Okay, final question, Tyler. You're in a great spot to, I think, offer the, advice to younger players, even, guys who want to, people who want to break into the coaching ranks, what your message is to them.
Yeah, I think if most coaches are former players, and even if there's people that want to get into the coaching ranks that haven't played at whether it be the college or professional level, I think it's just being a student of the game. You just have to continue to find ways to teach yourself about the things that maybe you didn't even learn when you were playing. To be honest, I've learned quite a bit about baseball since I've been done playing, and since I left Kane, and some different things that I would do. And but I think when you get into coaching, it's all about relationships. It's all about being able to get the most out of people, to be really personable, to be able to understand different types of people and how they tick, and the things that really drive them, and just being able to communicate how you can help, and sometimes it's not communicating how with your words. It's just offering a lending hand, just being there and showing up. That stuff's important. But for me, I've spent a lot of time learning, about psychology stuff, and just how, some different things I can learn within that may be able to help me in my coaching career. And it may only help one person. And then you start to learn things about the actual like skill acquisition, how people learn, and how people, really can get themselves better in a short amount of time. And you become a student of learning, you become a student of the game, you become a student of psychology, of people, and you just find a way to learn and get a little bit better every single day. And then it's experience. You just get the experience of coaching, and you're going to fail a ton. You're not going to get it right all the time, especially young. You're going to mess up a lot. And that's the point. The point is, and we ask our players to do the same thing. Our players, they're not supposed to go out there and perform every single day. They're just supposed to be as prepared as they can be. And that's all I try to be, is just be as prepared as I can for, the day that we go out in the field, and, let everything kind of go from there. And you just reassess, you just learn. It's a cycle, right? You're prepared, you go into it, you try to execute, you learn, and you do it all over again.
Okay, Tyler, the floor is yours. If there's anything I've left out, if you want to add, you're more than welcome to do so.
No, I appreciate you having me on, and these are good questions, and I'm obviously happy to help however I can with you. And if anybody has any way they want to reach out to me or ask any questions, they can do so via my Twitter. It's T_Smars. So if you find me on Twitter, send me a direct message. I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody may have. But other than that, I appreciate you having me on, and it means a lot.
Hey, Tyler, again, a true honor and privilege, interviewing you, wishing you continued success with the St. Paul Saints moving forward.
Appreciate it. Thank you.